that flow changed the way we had to do. So you had to adjust to the way the game was being called, how we needed to defend the right way. So there was no rhythm, but I thought our focus was good. Then the intensity, to your point, in that third, we turned it up. And I realized that we have to dictate the game with our defensive intensity, our defensive energy, allowing us to get easy baskets.
It's 58 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Welcome in to a Monday edition of Helmets and Heels. As always, our Mondays are brought to you by Big Chief Tire. Mia O'Brien was down at the press conference as the Jaguars announced and introduced General Manager James Gladstone, so she'll be with us momentarily. And on the other side, Ryan Clark from the Pivot awaits. Super excited to talk to him, Taylor. But as we were discussing off air before the show started, James Gladstone is an incredibly bright and articulate human being. And yes, the buzzwords today that I think everyone's focusing on, intangibly rich. How do we figure out what intangibly rich means? We certainly chatted with Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic, who covers the Rams, and she spent an entire year going behind the scenes with their scouting department. She took that personality test, the intangibles test. She wasn't able to get the results, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll hopefully get those to her one day, or they should. But what does intangibly rich mean? To me, it goes back to something that Liam Cohen said when he was first introduced as the head coach, and that was the situational masters. He wants his players to be situational masters. That, to me, screams something that hasn't been here, including, I think, even the franchise quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence at times has suffered from not knowing situational football. So that was something for me that was great to hear. In general, just how articulate and smart this 34-year-old is. And don't worry about the age anymore. Let's move past that.
Yeah, I know. And I kind of joked about it last week on Twitter once that it was of course, we talk about it on our show, and then a couple hours later, he ends up getting hired. Combines right now, so good timing that we get this going. But yeah, listening to him talk, I was like, we're the same age, and it feels like he's 10 years older than me. The way that he speaks, and he's confident in the things that he says, and it's believable. And I feel like there's
and emotional too.
And there were that, and I love that. And I've had the conversation a lot of that's why I like somebody like Dan Campbell, because Dan Campbell shows you his raw emotion, and like some people don't love that. To me, it is, because it shows you care. It shows you could see in this press conference how grateful he was for the Rams organization and Les Snead and giving him his shot. But obviously, he's worked his way, and like he's done his job to a point where now he's a general manager at 34 years old, which is crazy. But yeah, he's so. You could just tell he's confident in everything that he speaks, and I feel like we've just not had that here this whole last 2 years. And I know we've had moments with Doug after that first year where you're like, oh, okay, like this is going great. But this felt different. It felt like he wasn't going to lie. He wasn't going to hide things. It didn't have to be a game. He's going to speak to you up front about everything that he wants in this organization. I'm interested to see I'm interested to hear how far he thinks he is, or the team is, from being that to the level where he wants it, and when it comes to the intangible stuff. And so it's fascinating.
Transparency is going to be key now moving forward.
And I think that's huge, because it's just been a bunch of games for so long of like who's calling plays and who's doing this and what type of person, throwing Trevor under the bus in moments where you're like, it just never made sense. It never added up. It never felt like it was somebody who had our back as Jaguars fans, and this feels like that. And so it was very refreshing to hear him talk like that.
Yeah, Mia will join us here in just a second, back from the press conference. So it kind of felt to me like almost like a wedding reception, the introduction of James Gladstone. So when did you first know that you were...
I haven't posted them yet, folks, but be sure to look at the social channels. We got the full father of the bride, mother of the bride photo shoot. Just you wait. It's coming.
Yeah, it felt to me, because it's like, okay, so when did you first know that Liam Cohen was going to be the guy that you'd work with for life, right?
They're clinking their glass. They're like, yes, I have to make a speech.
Right. It really was. It was not strange. That's too strong, but it was very affectionate in certain ways. And so certainly that's a good thing as
Well,
far
it's
as
been exhausting.
Right. Building the East Coast Rams basically is what's now going to be happening here in Jacksonville.
Mark Lamping said, I'm just here so I can bring the average age up.
Right. Which then Boselli cracked a joke about how he's 52 and that's so old. And I was thinking, Mark's probably like, hold my beer.
Right. Here's my thing as far as the age goes, because that's like my first initial impression. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Big Chief Tire Monday at that. The age question was rightfully asked because it is what so many in the national football landscape are talking about right now. Many Jaguar fans driving around right now listening, it is a question they have. The reason that Liam Cohen tried to at first no answer it, and I can tell you this because of all the conversations I've had with people in the Los Angeles Rams organization and those who previously worked there when both James Gladstone and Liam Cohen were employed. They don't talk about age out there. They find it fascinating that people are still fixated 9 years after Sean McVay was hired at 30 years old as an NFL head coach, that people are still talking about this.
Well, especially to me, because James, for instance, has been doing this now for a decade.
Right.
So when it feels,
he's been the de facto number 2 for almost 6 years.
Right. When it seems like 30-ish, right? Anywhere between 30 and 40, it feels like that's young because of what we've had in place and because of maybe what's in place in other NFL organizations. But he's been doing this job for a decade. So, yeah, I'm glad that we can move past that. Certainly the first-timers, they were going to be asked certain things about having never done it before, but that's not what they're focused on. James's wife is pregnant with their second baby.
I didn't realize it either when she first walked into the room. It wasn't until Mayor Deegan said it that I looked and I went, oh, my goodness, she is 8 months pregnant.
Think about that
God
life.
bless.
Moving from Los Angeles to Jacksonville, flying to Indianapolis, James will, not the wife.
Right.
And then having the second baby in the near future. Like, talk about a whirlwind.
Yeah.
But
quite a month.
That's where I deeply appreciated, and I actually sent it to a couple of people around the league because I know they appreciated it. Not only the thank yous that James Gladstone began his press conference with, but the fact that he kept referencing that Les Snead, the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams, his boss the last 9 years, would not have raised his hand if he didn't believe, A, James wasn't ready, and B, that this wasn't the right opportunity. If you're a Jaguar fan driving around right now, if a Super Bowl winning GM, considered one of the more shrewd, savvy GMs of the last 6-7 years, is saying, I feel comfortable sending my right-hand man here, not just because it's a job, but because it's the job for him, you should be deleting some tweets about Shad Khan, deleting some tweets about whatever else you've said about the Jaguars in the past, because that is extremely high praise, Jacksonville.
It was not that long ago that fans were canceling their season tickets because Trent Baalke was the general manager. And now the youth movement has begun. And it's more, though, again, it's not really the age. To me, it's more the philosophy has drastically changed. The philosophy of who's going to be calling the plays. And now, like you said, Taylor, we know who's calling the plays, and Liam Cohen. The philosophy of player evaluation, talent evaluation, that's completely different. And this organization has been mired in losing, yes, one-off seasons here and there, but for the most part, mired in losing. These guys bring a fresh perspective. They don't know that the Jaguars have been this miserable organization for a long time. I'm sure they know about it, but they haven't lived it every day.
Yeah.
They come from successful organizations, and that's their plan to bring that to Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I think that what they're looking at it too of other times. Gladstone mentioned about the 4-win season and with the Rams and how quickly they're able to turn that around and the different things that they did through the draft and approaching the draft in different ways. When you have no first-round pick compared to 13 picks another year, that you have to approach it very differently. And I think when we were talking to Jordan Rodriguez last week, that's one of the questions I wanted to hear. How do you go into a draft and you have you have 5 picks and no first rounder? How do you approach that differently than you do when you're going in with all of these picks that you have to have? And so it will be interesting. I'm so excited now to go into draft world, and we have the combine obviously this week. I'm so excited to finally have somebody who I barely know this man, and I'm so excited.
I thought you were going to say, honestly, as Taylor's saying this, the reason that I'm laughing over here is because I said to multiple people at the press conference this morning, I'm going to be honest with you, like normally I'm out here, in the 5th round, the Jaguars should consider going this position. frankly, folks, outside of the first round, I haven't watched any tape. I haven't had time. We literally haven't had, because we didn't know who the GM would be and philosophically where their draft choices or tendencies may lie. And now we do. And so now we actually can, proceed as normal.
I thought it was funny. Boselli was like, since day one. I'm like, day one was Friday. You hired this man on Friday. But I guarantee they have spent every waking moment since they announced it on Friday
Probably not
afternoon.
much sleep happening
right
now.
About focusing all of their efforts onto fixing this roster. And certainly that starts, like you said, with the Combine this week. And so when he said day one, I'm like, that was only a few days ago. Yet, like I said, I'm sure for them it has been all hands on deck, full court press, whatever cliche in sports you want to use. I think, to me, too, yes, everyone reports to Shad, Mia, but I do think Boselli is going to be heavily involved in every aspect of the franchise.
Right, because here's the thing. Tony Boselli has been hired because, and I believe it's been said, so I don't feel bad saying it, the disconnect between the non-football operation side and the football operation side and bringing everything together. That's why if you read Albert Breer's report this morning of exactly what will fall under Tony's title, what or constituent, his jurisdiction, what will fall under Liam's, what will fall under James's. In my estimation, there are some folks who point to the Urban Meyer debacle as where some of that disconnect began. But I'll be honest with you, and you can speak to it more because you both have grown up here. Not that there was a disconnect previously, but I'm not sure it's this symbiotic relationship that I believe can be forged with Tony at the helm, and this idea of, hey, I'm on the football side, but I've got your back, marketing. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm on the football side, internal house media, but I'm going to make sure that you get access. And then on the flip side of that, you know what? I know that so-and-so in the marketing department wants this player to be doing this availability. I'm going to make that happen, but let's give that player ample heads up. And I'm not saying that those are specific issues that have occurred over the last few years, but that is where that role is getting at.
Yeah, and I think it's beneficial, obviously, with Tony Boselli, when you talk about the different viewpoints he's had throughout his entire, from being a player to calling game, being in the booth and watching it in that light, to talking about it on a daily show, to being a part of the organization in so many different areas. And now he's actually in the door. But I do think that's so beneficial because Tony has seen everything. He's seen it all. He's seen the bad decisions, the good decisions. He's talked to, obviously, Shad Khan and all these people, and I'm sure he has so many ideas and thoughts and preferences of things that have gone good or bad. And you can't take away that there's been nothing done right during this time. There's been a lot of wrong decisions, but there has been some choices made throughout the time that he's been a part of it, that you are looking at this as a positive thing. And so he's going to take some of those things and then take some others and saying, this did not work. We can never do this again. So I do think that's beneficial of having somebody in the building who cares a lot about the Jaguars and this organization and this city, but also that has just so many different vantage points too.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that, like you said, he's been around a long time. And I also think he being Tony Boselli, I think he was incredibly frustrated as how things have transpired the last few years. And so I think for him to be in this role, he's then, if things don't go well, he gets to be a part of fixing it. And so he doesn't have to be frustrated with the people that won't maybe listen to him as he weighs in on multiple different things. But I think especially on offensive linemen and defensive linemen and things like that. All right, we got to say hello on the other side to Ryan Clark from The Pivot. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It is a Big Chief Tire Monday. Remember, you can have peace of mind when you get your tires from Big Chief Tire as they repair road hazard damage on eligible tires for free. I know this as a fact because it just happened to me when I had a nail in my tire. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
He's not Fat Albert, he's Fat Tony. And by the way, he's not fat, it's just a cool name. Fat Tony. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
Elevate your happy hour at the new Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road. Inspired by the vibrant and diverse culinary traditions of the Mediterranean, Dua has a unique South Florida vibe and welcoming atmosphere. Savor handcrafted cocktails and delicious happy hour specials every Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Whether kicking back after work or starting your night in style, Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road is where good times and great flavors meet. DuaLoungeJacks.com.
I've been having knee problems for probably 6 months, and my knee was getting worse, and I had heard about Southeast Orthopedics on the radio, and I gave them a call. They got me right in. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. It was painless, and it's been doing fantastic. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Mia here for Projax Roofing. Here on the Sports Superstation, we talk a lot about pros. Pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, pro sports. But if you want a true pro when it comes to your roof, you should call Mike with Projax Roofing. Mike has been in the roofing biz for well over 25 years, and when you call, you don't get a recording. You get Mike himself. Find Mike's cell phone number on ProjaxRoofingFL.com. That's ProjaxRoofingFL.com. Don't rely on the third stringer. Call in the starter with Mike at Projax Roofing.
Winter is almost over, and the Epic Florida heat is on its way. You need reliable air conditioning. Epic Cool Heating and Air is here. Take advantage of the Epic Gold membership program and use one of your 2 yearly tests of your entire AC system. You know it's going to be epically hot, so be epically prepared. Plus, no interest financing for 18 months. That's epic. Visit EpicHVACService.com today and trust the experts at Epic Cool Heating and Air to stay epically cool. That's EpicHVACService.com.
The Frangie Show will be live from the new Duo Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road this Thursday the 27th. Join us for their happy hour from 4 to 6 with food and drinks inspired by the Mediterranean. Plus, your chance to win Duo gift cards.
Follow Florida Gators men's basketball on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Hacker here, thinking I did something spectacular, dropping 123 pounds. But then Steve pops in and dropped a whopping 150 pounds with a Waken 180 weight loss.
I got started because I was sick and tired of just being sick and tired all the time. Wanted more from life, and I knew that at my size, I wasn't being who I could be, who I want to be for not only myself, but for my wife. And I was like, something has got to change, and it's got to start soon. I mean, the program is so easy. Everything is really written down for you on your first day. having someone there to help you and also keep you accountable, just having that someone to talk to. And even the fact that Awaken 180 offers free maintenance for life is amazing, because keeping the weight off is a lifetime commitment.
A lifetime commitment is what you'll receive with Awaken 180. 25 pounds like Dempsey, 40 pounds like Matt Hayes, or maybe it's over 100 pounds like Steve and me. Awaken 180 will get you there online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Big Chief Tire Monday, and we are super excited to welcome in our first guest of today's program, Ryan Clark of The Pivot. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We are great, thanks. We are fresh off of James Gladstone being introduced as the Jaguars general manager, of course, a few weeks after Liam Cohen was announced as the head coach. And so, Ryan, that leads me to my first question as far as coach-centric teams. We know that the Rams are coach-centric. It has worked for them. The Jaguars are kind of borrowing from that philosophy and creating kind of an East Coast Rams, and the Jaguars will be coach-centric. What do you think that exactly means?
You know, I don't necessarily know what that means. I think what you want to do is you want Liam Cohen to run what happens on the football field, right? You're obviously going to go out, if you're the general manager, and you want to make sure that you're collecting the right sort of tools, the right sort of people, the right sort of players to be able to allow Liam Cohen to fulfill his vision as it pertains to the football field. You got to think about where he's been. You know, you go back to Will Levis at Kentucky. Obviously, he was with the Rams as well, which will be a connection there, but also in Tampa Bay and what he was able to do with that offense and Baker Mayfield, and Baker throwing for over 4,500 yards, throwing for over 40 touchdowns. A huge part of why you go and you bring Liam Cohen in is to allow him to work with Trevor Lawrence and make this offense what he's made so many offenses that he's been present with before. And it has to be coach-centric if that's going to happen, when things are being run at the executive level as it pertains to the football field. To me, that's never a recipe for success.
Hey, Ryan, thanks so much for hopping on with us. We really, really appreciate it. Now that you've given us your thoughts on Liam Cohen, give us your thoughts on the 34-year-old new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, James Gladstone. Surprised by the hire? Was this a name that you knew of in NFL circles?
Saying the general manager.
Yes, correct.
I didn't know much, I can also, be honest from my standpoint of executives. You know the guy that's the general manager. You know the guy that's the face. But what we see in so many of these sort of hires is they want to know who you work with. And then by speaking to the people that you work with, you look at their success. What part did you play in that success? What are some of the things that you had the ability to learn? And I think if you can find a young, up-and-coming, hungry executive to take over the GM job, I believe those are sometimes the people that are the most aggressive. Those are the people that are the most daring. And they're also willing to listen and be collaborative. And it's always sort of the strange it's a strange process when you hire your coach before you hire your GM. A lot of times you want those people's visions to be married, right? So if you can bring them both in, let's think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, right? They came in together, and so that vision is married. How is the new GM, the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars going to find a way to marry their visions as they move forward into free agency, as they move forward into the draft, and then throughout the season and maneuvering the roster to give Liam Cohen the best opportunities to be successful?
Ryan, I wanted to ask you, first of all, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I want to say go Irish. And I know that it was Jordan in that Penn State game had a really big play, and I know it was a big moment on a big stage, and it was really exciting to watch that. But it made me tie into Marcus Freeman and how he took over that team, and you just feel this different energy since he's become the head coach there at Notre Dame. And so we've talked here a lot about the issues when it comes to some of the head coaching, when it just felt like something was missing. And Liam Cohen already early on feels like he brings, and Trevor used the word juice. Talk to us a little bit about the difference and just how immediate the right coach can just turn things around.
Well, I mean, I think you can look, at the Washington Commanders and what Dan Quinn was able to do with that team and turning that team around immediately. Even the Jacksonville Jaguars, Doug Peterson early on in his career and the trajectory that team was going at the time, but it also takes consistency. When you bring over Liam Cohen, and you've seen, if you look at his recent resume, he's a guy who bounced around, whether it was Kentucky, Los Angeles, back to Kentucky, to Tampa Bay. So he's been in these different places. He's been in many different locker rooms, and he's figured out how to deal with people. So many times we're looking at the X's and O's of what coaches can do, and obviously that'll be a big part of what Liam Cohen does on the offensive side of the ball, but it's how you deal with the personalities in the locker room. It's how you work with a man who has a wife and has kids and maybe going through something that week, may not be as motivated to lock in on each and everything that's in the offensive or defensive game plan. How do you relate to him? How do you have that conversation with him? How do you get him to focus on the main thing, which is winning football games? Then it's going to also go to having a young general manager as well, right? What did he learn from Les Snead? What did he learn from Sean McVay? How is he able to have those conversations with Liam Cohen to give him some of that advice or give him some of that inspiration, some of that experience, some of that knowledge to operate throughout the year? And so I think that every coach has a different way. I think that every coach has to find their own way to not only communicate, to not only coach strategically, but also their own way to say Duval. And I think Liam Cohen is working on all those things all at one time.
I like that that subtle shot at Liam's Duval. Ryan, let's get it to Fred Taylor, your buddy, certainly Pivot co-host and Jaguars legend. He's been on our program with us before. We love Freddie T. What on earth do we have to do to get him in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know what the conversations are. I think what's been really cool about doing a show with Fred is talking to running backs or talking to players of his era, players who were before him, players who play now in the present, and the respect that they have for Fred Taylor's game. When you get drafted 9th overall, you're obviously an ultimate talent, but it was the production on the field. It was the success. I think it's hard when you're a small market team. It's hard when your team didn't have a ton of success, so you didn't get those big game moments. I mean, how many times have you guys seen the immaculate reception? How many times have we seen the catch, right? All of these things are important because they were these big moments on these amazing stages. Eli Manning, who didn't get in this year, we all believe that he will. And why will he? Because he made big plays on the biggest stages. And so I think some of those conversations about Fred make it a little difficult for him to get in, maybe over some of these other guys. But when you cut the film on, if you walk into a room of football players and you say, is Fred Taylor a Hall of Famer, everybody in that room is going to raise their hand. And so I do believe one day he gets in. I hate that he's having to continue to wait, but I don't think having someone put that gold jacket on you, whether it's, now or later, will make a big difference once you finally have it.
Couple more for Ryan Clark of ESPN and the Pivot Podcast here on Helmets and Heels. You can find Ryan on X at RealRClark25. Ryan, our attention now turns to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis this week. Of course, the Combine is about much more than just the action on the field at Lucas Oil Stadium and those workouts. For you, what is the biggest storyline that we will be talking about coming out of Indianapolis this week?
I don't really know. To be honest, I think that's the beauty of the Combine. Will it be someone whose numbers jump off the charts? Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is not working out. So I think now some of these other quarterbacks, guys like Tyler Shue of Louisville, who's a little bit older, but who I got to watch in person, that can flat out spin it. Will he have one of those days or one of those weeks at the Combine that pushes him up the draft board. You know, what wide receiver, what will Travis Hunter do when you look at his 40? Is he going to be a low 4.4 guy? Is he going to be a 38 vertical guy? Who else pops out and does something tremendous? And so I believe the combine is one of those things that we will overreact to, right? We will probably cover in the media a little bit too much, but there will be some of these young men who on Monday morning or whoever on the day that they get an opportunity to perform, they will get to etch their names on different draft boards in a different way than they were before the combine started.
Ryan, before we let you go, I do want to ask you your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. We've had a lot of talks of Trevor Lawrence and maybe what's been holding him back or things that have gone wrong these last few years. But now Liam Cohen here and what he was able to do with the Will Levis in college and then Baker Mayfield this last year. What are your thoughts on Trevor and expectations for this season?
You know, I got to meet Trevor when he was really young, you know, on the high school circuit, and just an ultimate talent and an amazing human. Like, I just want to say that, you know, first and foremost. And I think he has everything that you need. I think he has competitive drive. I think he has talent and just the physical tools to be an all-time great quarterback. And we've seen spells of that, but we haven't seen it in the last year and a half or so. And Trevor Lawrence has to regain his confidence. Trevor Lawrence has to believe he is who everyone's always said he was, who he was drafted to be, who he was paid to be when he got this new contract. It almost seems when you watch the film, he doesn't have a confidence in himself to just go out and let it spin, to just go out and play. And it's disappointing because under Doug Peterson, you thought you were seeing that. You thought Trevor Lawrence was going to take his place with the Joe Burrows, with the Josh Allen, with the Lamar Jackson. And it just hasn't happened. And I believe it has to happen early with Liam Cohen. I don't necessarily mean early in the season, but this year has to show growth. This year for Trevor Lawrence has to say that from a mental standpoint, I'm ahead of the game. And now my physical tools can do and work in the way that they're supposed to. And I believe if he struggles this year, you're going to have to start to ask the question, is Trevor Lawrence the quarterback for us? And when you give a guy the type of money that Trevor received, you don't want to be asking that question. But if I had to bet on him, based on his talent, based on his moxie, based on his experience, based on what the kid is made of, I know he's going to do everything in his competitive power to be as good as he can possibly be.
And we certainly hope that Liam Cohen and the staff assembled will bring out the best in him. Ryan, what's coming up on the pivot?
Tomorrow we have a big show. I can't let you guys know who it is, not yet.
Okay.
Tomorrow we have a big show. Friday, it'll be all of us guys together. And, pretty soon, here in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll release the show with a certain movie star hero that I think everybody will enjoy.
Awesome. Well, we will certainly be paying attention to that, and we so appreciate you joining us today. We know you're busy.
You have a great day.
And there he goes, Ryan Clark of The Pivot, obviously along with Fred Taylor, who joins our station every Monday and breaks down his thoughts on the Jaguars, and Channing Crowder as well. So we've now had 2 of the 3 Pivot hosts on the show, so we just got to aim for the 3rd. Good stuff from Ryan. And look, as far as Fred Taylor goes, I love what he had to say.
Yeah.
And we know the small market certainly is an issue, but you talk to anyone that played with or against Fred Taylor, and they will tell you he deserves a gold jacket for sure.
He said everyone in the room would raise their hand, and that's
Right.
exactly
Absolutely.
that's what it is.
Absolutely. Let's hope we get some more future Hall of Famers here in Jacksonville. All right, we will continue discussing the new Jaguars general manager, James Gladstone, on the other side, let you hear from him, and also discuss the NFL Combine that does start in earnest today. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Proud to live in Jacksonville.
This is where we live.
Proud to be Jacksonville Sports Radio. We are 1010XL.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Mia here, and people are still talking about those New Year's resolutions, even though it's February 24th and that gym membership is already a $50 per month guilt trip. Why not take that cash and finally fix that leaky faucet, unclog that drain, or tune up that AC? Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning has your back. Visit duckduckrooter.com or call today, 904-862-6769. Start the year off fresh. No leaks, no clogs, no excuses. Duck Duck Rooter, 904-862-6769.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Hey folks, Nick here for Zero Res, and if you still have a little bit of time for the hottest price of the year on carpet cleaning, maybe you had people over for the game or you're doing early spring cleaning, but in February, only $147 for 3 rooms, plus the 4th room is free. That's right, schedule now and you'll get 3 rooms for $147, and the 4th room is free. Yeah, the 4th room is on me. Hottest price of the year. Zero Res. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res. 3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This State in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 24th, 1987, NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scores his 36,000th NBA point in a 97-93 win over the Suns in Phoenix.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops! Receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
Easy Cater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Experience the high-flying action truly unlike anything on the Supercross circuit at Daytona Supercross. Saturday, March 1st. Side-by-side intensity of Monster Energy AMA Supercross on the most demanding track of the circuit. Get close to the action as riders get pushed to the limits on the Ricky Carmichael designed track. For a chance to win tickets to Daytona Supercross, answer this. Who won the 450 final Supercross at Daytona in 2024? Text the winner's last name to 641-1010 now.
Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Really appreciate Ryan Clark taking the time out of his busy schedule to hang out with us. And so I wonder who that movie star will be on the pivot. We will find that out when everybody else does, when they release it. All right, so just talk to Ryan about this idea, too. The Rams are coach-centric. The Jaguars have now multiple people on the staff that have spent time with the Rams, and Sean McVay have come from that tree, whether it's McVay or Lesney, the GM. And so the Jaguars want to be coach-centric. So in theory then, Mia, why would you not have James Gladstone report to Liam Cohen versus reporting directly to Shad if you're coach-centric?
I think because it's all about the collaboration. Pure collaboration would be my response
love
to that.
pure collaboration.
Yeah, that would be my answer to that, Lauren. I think that.
I love how he also asks. He's like, "Can I just use the 2-word answer?"
Like, here's the thing. Like, having three people report to the same person, does it create a Game of Thrones, so to speak, situation because they're all equal and no one is ahead of the other? Maybe, but I actually think that that's a good thing because it's not like someone has more power than someone else. And so that's why, well, yes, they keep using the phrase coach-centric. I believe that that is more from the perspective of it needs to be, as Tony Boselli said, keeping the main thing, which is what's going on the football field. And who oversees what is going on the football field? Liam Cohen.
And I think the question that obviously media is trying to get the answer of is, and they're not going to, but if there's a tie, let's say, right, like if Liam and James disagree on something, not if there's a tie, if they disagree on something, is it Shad that's then going to make the ultimate final decision?
I'm glad you brought that up, Lauren. I loved James Gladstone's answer. And it's something that we talked to Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic, who covers the Rams, about on Friday. What did he say? And we talked about it afterwards. We debriefed when Jordan said it. We'll fight. And it's okay. Like, we can have a disagreement. And as long as it's constructive and there's no ego, that's healthy.
Yeah.
Now, who is the deciding vote? If there's a tie, who breaks the tie? Like, I don't want to get involved with that. I don't know exactly how that will be played out. But at the same time, I think having healthy discourse and being able to transparently talk about, hey, sometimes we disagree and we have it out, that is very much a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and they're aligned too. Like, they think similarly, Taylor, and I don't know that was in place before. I don't know that Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson had the same ideas as far as what should be happening on the field. I think that's what caused a lot of that disconnect. But obviously, Liam and James are aligned philosophically when it comes to football because, again, of their roots.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you don't want to have a bunch of yes men, and I feel like the relationship with Doug and Press was that, and so nothing ever changed and nothing ever evolved because it was both of them just looking at each other and saying yes to everything rather than just actually looking and being like, hey, let's find the root of this problem because you have playmakers, you have this, and something is not translating on the field. You just heard Ryan Clark talk about Trevor Lawrence, and everybody you talk to, or 90% of the people you talk to around the league, all say the same thing, that Trevor has every single tool you need to be a top quarterback in the league, but it just hasn't been able to be executed. And we talk about 4 quarters, but a full season, however you want to look at it, but it's there. And so you need these people that, to your point, Lauren, are on the same page and feel like, okay, here's what we need to do. We need to fix the offensive line. We need to run the ball. That is going to help Trevor massively. And it feels like both of those, when you look at how the Rams and the Bucs both have kind of steered the way of getting that run game back involved, and I think that's important. And so when you're looking at it, you want guys to challenge each other. You want guys to come in this room and say, yes, these need to be fixed, but maybe their approach is a little bit different, and you meet somewhere in the middle, and that's when things actually start getting tested and evolving, and that's what you need here.
You certainly do. Mia, your interpretation of, I gave mine earlier as far as intangibly rich. I said that means that they want their players, using a Liam Cohen phrase, to be situational masters of football. That's what that spoke to me.
Yes. I think that, again, and I'm glad that Tony Boselli keeps saying the words mentally tough, and I know that's part of FAST too, is mentally tough both physically and mentally when they say tough. And I think that, again, the cerebral nature of what a modern athlete is, and the fact that Liam brought it up too. I honestly wanted to stand up and praise and clap.
There was a lot of clapping.
There was again, it felt like a wedding. It was great. I enjoyed it from start to finish. When
There's
Liam
a bouquet toss at the end.
When Liam Cohen said, when the question was asked about age, and he said, these are 21, 22, 23-year-olds that are coming from the NIL landscape, and they need to be able to communicate with someone who understands that landscape and who understands them as people.
Yeah. I can answer all the whys. We've talked about that so much.
And I go back to, and again, like Tony Boselli, I am not here to bash the previous regime. I'm not here to bash the regime two before that. But what I am here to tell you, is that there were multiple moments with many members of that previous regime where it would be, these kids, I'm worried about the future, man, and these kids that are coming in, and they're just not what they used to be. Instead of, hey, this is what the modern player is, let's adapt to that. Let's bring in innovative minds who can connect better with who the modern player is and go from there. And again, I just go back to the point about the why.
Yeah.
We live in an age of Google. These young men have been able to search any question they've had their entire lives at their fingertips. And now you're telling me that their head coach, their GM, in good faith, can just say, well, it's this way because I said so. That's not the world they grew up in. It's a fantasy land and a farce when you're told that, especially when you are considered a professional athlete.
I saw that there are several guys in this draft class that are 20, will be 20 when the draft occurs. So if you want to do some math on that, they were born in 2005.
Yeah. Hey now, we almost had a winner.
2005.
We almost had a winner on the PGA Tour yesterday who would have been the youngest winner since 1953 at 20 years old. So hey, listen, it's happening.
That is to your point, it's a massively different way to communicate with someone who was born in 2005 than it is someone who is in their 60s or 70s and technology may be a little bit more challenging. And let me rephrase that. There are some people in their 60s and 70s where technology is challenging. Not all of them.
Right.
My dad always has the brand new iPhone. He's very
There's some people
to technology. My parents have streaming. I've told you all that. Not everyone at that age is reluctant to change and to adapt. But when you have people that are stuck in the old-fashioned sense, you're not able to use your word, Taylor, you're not able to evolve at that point in time.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have somebody in the building that can communicate with everybody. And that's what I think there's been a lack of here, because there are going to be 20, 21-year-olds, but there's also going to be 35-year-olds. And so you have to have somebody who knows how to communicate to both. And I think when we talk about this, the youngness of this new general manager, coaching staff in general, this youth movement, these guys are also ones who now, when you're talking about a James Gladstone, has been in the league for so long, though, too. When we talk about a decade of learning from people who, yes, Sean McVay is a young guy, but there's also people in that building that he was learning from that were quite a bit older than him. So he does have the experience on both sides. And I think that being able to relate to the young but still communicate with the older players too is really important. And I just felt like it hasn't happened here. It's felt when we were talking to Ryan Clark, and I said it just felt like something was missing these last few years. Well, a lot of the years, but these last few years with Doug, it just felt like something was lacking. And I think that's what it was that open communication, which is so important now to this younger generation, and maybe not so much with the older generations.
James Gladstone has a master's in education administration.
And I thought it was very important too and thank you to Gene Fournette of the Florida Times Union for asking the question right off the top about James's roots. He wanted to be a high school teacher and a high school coach. It's kind of funny when you consider the predecessor wearing, the whistle. And once upon a time, he was a GA at Bemidji State, so I'll give him that. But James Gladstone was literally a high school coach that they plucked off of the St. Louis high school football fields, and they were like, "Hey, You're built for something greater. Like, would you like to try this out instead?
And he was like,
all
sure.
all those poor high school students that he used to be their coach. He was probably the smartest coach that they ever had.
And then now he's a general manager.
Right, now he's a general manager a decade later.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, wanting to teach, I think the definition, and I'm not trying to, again, not only not bash the previous administration, but also the generation above many of us. Like, I'm not saying it's different, but it is. The definition of what teaching is. And here, I'll give you guys a great anecdote. So I had two of my buddies who used to live here in Florida with us here in Jacksonville. For those of you who watch First Coast News, you may know Andrew Badillo. Shout out to Andrew and his wife. They were here visiting us this weekend. And, of course, he and Kevin are debriefing everything that's gone on with the Jaguars. And so Andrew and Alex moved after week 1. He was in Miami, and then they moved back up to New Jersey. And his biggest takeaway, because he's been removed from the situation after covering the Jaguars on and off for 2.5 years, his biggest takeaway was, I knew something was wrong, and I completely forgot this, when Doug threw Ryan Nielsen under the bus, week 1 and week 2. Immediately. Mm-hmm. And it was, well, we got to coach it better, and we got to, someone's got to do that.
Yeah.
And he said that was a red flag for him. And because of everything else that's happened in the last 4 or 5 months, that was lost for me. But again, to hear that from an outsider.
Because we always focus on the ETN fumble as to why the Jaguars lost to the Dolphins.
Yeah. He was like, this is coming from a guy who preached healing, who said, I need to meet these players and staffers where they are. I'm not trying to push anybody because I know what they just went through. And here is a guy who then is throwing his defense coordinator in game 1, game 2 under the bus and saying that the teaching isn't there. Then meanwhile, we were told, well, we're trying to teach and the players have to make plays. And the idea of what is teaching.
We're doing our job. They just
the idea of what is teaching. I think that there's a difference. And a lot of it has to do with the why.
Also, in continuing to learn, too, I think that you have to accept the fact that football, when we keep using this word evolve, but football is constantly evolving and things are changing. And if you're not willing to continue to learn, it makes me think of Grant Udinski a lot when he was talking about how much, like, him DVRing film back in the day. That didn't stop.
Back in the day, like 10 years ago. No, just kidding. 20 years
But
ago.
that can't stop. You have to do that forever. You're constantly wanting to continue to learn and learn new things. As the game changes, you have to change too. And it didn't. With Doug, it kind of felt like he came in here, and I tweeted this last weekend. I've said it on here before. I think he thought it was going to be easy. And when it wasn't easy, he didn't know what to do except blame everybody else and try and figure out. Like, he wasn't actually trying to figure out the why. He was trying to distract you of what the actual issue was.
I think Doug Peterson, because of the way the season had ended in 2023, that obviously collapsed. I think he felt the pressure. Like, I think he read the tea leaves that he was on the hot seat. And so that's what we felt all last season was his frustration. And it came in the form of a lot of press conferences with back and forth with reporters. And so that's why also Trent Baalke needed to be fired, because you needed to have a head coach and a GM on the same trajectory. Yeah. And yes, Shad Khan let the GM have his job for about 2.5 weeks too long, but at least he did make the decision.
We got to where we had to be.
Right.
Where we needed to be. We got there eventually with time to spare. And by time to spare, I mean 4 hours before the NFL Combine. It's fine.
Somebody on the text line texted in and said Don Shula had a degree in education too.
Oh, there you go. Hey, lots of different connections to winning programs. I told y'all in the break that my cousin's wife, her dad was one of the pilots that flew the Philadelphia Eagles immediately after they won the Super Bowl back to Philadelphia. So we're getting these ties to different Super Bowl organizations throughout the program and throughout our city. And so that's good news. All right,
I feel like there's always pressure when you're flying a plane, but that might be a little...
For real. There is always pressure when you're flying a plane. Big Chief Tire has over 7,600 5-star reviews. Big Chief Tire provides quality service, whether you need tires, brake services, wheel alignments, or oil changes. Find them online at wekeepjacksrollin.com. Want to get it to the NFL Combine and let you hear from James Gladstone. You are listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Follow the JU Dolphins on 1010XL.
JU looks to jump over Eastern Kentucky in a top 5 ASUN matchup at Swisher. Dolphins Colonels, tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, they know how to stop termites just like they did at my house. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so does Terminix, and their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem. I certainly didn't want to. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
Ackerman Urology offers the most advanced options for improving men's health and vitality. Their board-certified urologists treat all prostate disease and sexual health issues. Call their new location at World Golf Village or visit AckermanUrology.com.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror, fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
Staying Alive, one night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, one night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
What Major League Baseball team has never been to a World Series? The answer next.
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The Seattle Mariners, who were founded in 1977, have never been to the World Series.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, what's the matter?
I don't know about this air conditioner, Jason.
You know, my job is actually to...
I mean, 1 minute it's working, and the next minute it's not working. And every time I leave the house, I don't know if I'm coming back to a nice, cool oasis or a steaming cesspool of sweaty garbage fumes and dog farts, and then I'll never get to sleep. And I'll be too late to call someone. And what if I've got a big meeting the next morning and I haven't slept a wink?
Okay, dude. Stay cool. Or at least stay cooler.
But
Bueller Air and Plumbing can figure out why your AC only works sometimes and not all the time. We fix that kind of stuff every day.
You mean you can...
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all your time worrying about an air conditioner that can totally be fixed, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The UNF men's basketball team are coming off of back-to-back wins over Stetson and JU as they look to rematch against the FGCU Eagles tonight down in Fort Myers. FGCU took the first game earlier this season, 84-70, with Kayshawn Kelman pointing 22 points in the win against the Ospreys. The Ospreys will look to their 5 guys who are averaging double-digit points per game, led by sophomore guard Josiah Miles and freshman forward Josh Harris. Eagles and Ospreys tonight tip off at 7 o'clock. Gators men's basketball team beat LSU this past weekend to secure their 6th straight win, 79-65. Sophomore center Ruben Chinlu stuck out for the Gators, recording a career high of 19 points and 13 rebounds. Head coach Todd Golden on Ruben's performance.
Ruben just did a great job imposing his will, finishing around the rim and just cleaning up the glass. He got 7 offensive rebounds, 19 points, 2 assists for him. He's just improving so much in real time, and he's given us a big lift over these last couple weeks.
It's 60 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
I think it's pretty simple from my perspective. We will prioritize people and players that are intangibly rich. And by doing so, they will elevate our ecosystem, our team, by being nothing more than themselves. So it's as simple as that.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Some of the many comments from new Jaguars general manager James Gladstone as he met with media earlier today. Do we think that T-shirts and hats have already been printed with Intangibly Rich on them? Or are we going to wait for the first month of the season when the Jaguars go 4-0?
I need to know more about the intangible test, and I really should have asked him. I need Jordan Rodriguez results.
Yes, I was waiting for that.
I have been sent on a mission. I'm going to ask him tomorrow at the Combine. It's fine. But I have been sent out on a mission to get Jordan Rodriguez Combine result, or her intangible test results, and I will be getting them from you, James.
Yes, we absolutely need those. Excited that, yes, Liam Cohen and James Gladstone will be on our program tomorrow up there in Indianapolis as Mia, Frank, and Hayes head up there. Frank tweeted out that he watched the presser from the plane, so he was able to stay on top of things. And then obviously, like I said, they'll be on the show tomorrow. A little bit of basketball news, men's basketball news. Florida forward Alex Condon, Todd Golden said today, will be back for the Georgia game. Florida is at Georgia tomorrow night, tipping off at 7 o'clock. So it is certainly something where that ankle sprain, he's been able to allow that to heal. And certainly Micah Hyan-Logton has stepped up. And you just heard Molly say Ruben Chinyelu, also 19 points and 13 rebounds in Florida's win against LSU on Saturday. I was able to stay strangely calm throughout that game, which is unlike me. But it was, it was a game where I think a lot of people would have told you watching the first 3 quarters of it that LSU was going to win. Yeah. Florida was going to suffer a bad loss and, just have to collect themselves and move along. All right. So as far as the NFL Combine, from what I've seen so far, Shedeur Sanders will not be working out. He will go through the interview process, but he will not throw until the pro day at Colorado next month. We were trying to get Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders to rise up the draft boards at the Combine. That's not helping. And then Cam Ward, per Tom Pelissero, is uncertain whether he will throw. So the ones that I know for sure, the quarterbacks that I know for sure will be throwing at the Combine: Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart, Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, and Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard. I feel like of those 3, you're going to see Jackson Dart's highlights more than the other 2.
And that's been the expectation.
Yeah.
That's who helped himself the most in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. I think Tyler Shuck did as well, though. And Ryan Clark, who just joined us earlier on Helmets and Heels, noted that as well. And I do think that, and Ryan isn't the first to say that. I was listening to the Athletic Football Show this morning, and Dane Brugler said it as well, one of the most trusted draft analysts in the game. Tyler Shuck, even if he doesn't project as a starter per se in the National Football League, he has a quick release, a live arm, a cannon. And when these quarterbacks are throwing back to back to back, side by side, perhaps that will expose some of the flaws in some of these other prospects. And in turn, alluding to maybe that is why some quarterbacks opt to not participate, even if it's someone who maybe doesn't have the pedigree or the ability to, I don't know, decipher a defense, however you want to look at it. That's where I look at it and I say, okay, I understand it. But one thing that Denny Thompson told me once upon a time is that you also want to show at the combine that you're not afraid to compete.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what for me sticks out the most, Lauren.
To me, pro days are great, but you're throwing to your own receivers. And so to me, the difference between the combine and a pro day for these quarterbacks, a lot of it, besides the pressure, but it's having to throw to other guys. Yeah. And obviously not every quarterback wants to do that, but I feel like that at least gives NFL teams an idea when you are thrown to the wolves, so to speak, your rookie season, that you are able to manage every circumstance that comes your way.
Yeah, I personally think Jackson Dart should go in the top 4. I'll just start pushing that. No, I actually like Dart, and I think that obviously the Florida game exposed some of his weaknesses this last year, but I do think he has a really good arm in there. He was, when we did back in June, he was my, I think, third. I had him on there on my list in my top 5, and he was my third favorite for this year. I think there's a lot of things you can like about Jackson Dart, and he is going to, in my opinion, after this throwing at the combine, is going to be one of the ones that does start to rise pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If it's not, I mean, we're already seeing the conversations
and I
that
feel
people saying.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of smoke, and it may just be smoke, and it may not actually lead to a fire of Jackson Dart will be the one that rises up boards, which, Lauren, I mean, you could speak to this as someone who obviously follows the SEC as close as any of us. If you had told me a year ago that Jalen Milroe is hurting his stock by actually throwing the football, I'm not sure I would have believed you.
Yeah, Jalen Milroe is an interesting case study. People, now that Jalen Hurts has won the Super Bowl, people want to say, well, can Jalen Milroe, at some point become something close to Jalen Hurts as far as like their similar game skill set wise? I just don't know that Milroe helped himself at all this past season. Yeah. But at the same time, just because you weren't a super successful collegiate quarterback does not always mean that you're going to be successful in the NFL, and obviously vice versa. For people wondering, when we say the combine starts today, but yet the workouts don't start until Thursday, the general managers and head coaches of the different teams will be meeting with media each day this week. And then on Thursday, yes, you'll have the defensive linemen and the linebackers. On Friday, the defensive backs and the tight ends. Saturday, the big day, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. And Sunday, offensive line. That third group that I said on Saturday, running backs, more eyes, I feel like, on running backs than ever before.
Well, this class is loaded, too, so there's so many to keep an eye on.
How do you decipher, right, and how do you differentiate and, like, who's ahead of the pack?
Yeah. Since 2000, I'll say, as far as the running backs are concerned.
Right around the time we came on the air, it was announced that our good friend, the pride of Jacksonville, because we're still going to claim him, even if technically he was a military brat, Ashton Genty has elected to participate only in the medical evaluations and the team interviews at the NFL Combine.
Yeah. It's never surprising to me when players, like I said, decide not to work out at the combine. It's disappointing as far as the viewership is concerned, but he's somebody who, if you're in his camp, watch the tape. Yeah. Like, I literally don't know what else to tell you. It's why I think Fred Taylor deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Watch the tape.
Yeah, I don't think Ashton Genty needs to do anything. Everybody knows that, and if you've watched last year, he was just such an electric, fun player. But I do think other guys like a Caleb Johnson, for example, I think we didn't pay enough attention to, honestly, in general.
Some of us in this studio were not paying attention to Caleb Johnson. Some of us were
love
locked
Caleb
in.
Johnson.
Oh,
I don't think we talked about him nearly enough, and I do think he's somebody who we are going to start hearing a ton about in this next month, too.
Yeah, and look, I think part of it with Caleb
Johnson. He went to Iowa, in case people have no idea why Mia's yelling.
And he also was the nation's second leading rusher behind Ashton Genty.
Right.
And so
but his team didn't make the playoffs, so therefore he didn't get as much attention
Correct.
as Genty.
I think that Caleb Johnson is so fascinating. And for those of you who are going to be in the weeds watching this week, I'm not going to comp him to Derrick Henry because that is unfair. But he is one of the bigger running backs in this year's class, and one that we've seen go through the draft process of late. And he plays like it too. I'm not suggesting that he's going to, have the measurables that Derrick Henry did once upon a time in 2016 in Indianapolis. However, how he runs a bit more upright, being able to both have the agility to be a one-cut back, but also a bulldozer, essentially be a 3-down back, if you may. Yeah. I am very curious to see not only where he goes, Lauren and Taylor, but also in looking at and listening to Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock draft and so many others. There are some pundits out there who believe we could see 3 running backs in the first round and probably 6 to 7 between the first 2, which is such
That's a stark contrast.
a stark contrast to what we have seen the last few years.
Yeah, as far as if there's one player, Mia, that you want to learn more about at the Combine, would it be a Mason Graham or would it be someone who maybe hasn't been mocked to the Jaguars and so you're a little bit more curious?
Well, let's pull up my list that I already put together yesterday as part of my draft preparations, Lauren, and then I'll be able to tell you what players
Excellent. You came prepared.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Obviously, I've earmarked the various Florida State, Miami, Georgia ties just because, obviously we want to do right by you, the listeners, and make sure we bring you as many of those interviews as we possibly can.
Tons from Florida. We went over the list one day when you were out, and I went through how many from each school. I want to say Georgia has 14.
Yeah.
Miami has 10. Florida has 13. And Florida State only has 2.
2 areas that I am very much going to be diving into. Number 1 is the tight ends. On our schedule, our cheat sheet that I put together for Hayes and I literally wrote 12 tight ends names, and I was like, okay, they're all here. I'm interested in all of them. We'll just divide and conquer that day, which actually, as I'm looking at it, I'm realizing that's the day that Hayes and Frank leave a little early so they can be live back here in Jacksonville Thursday afternoon, but that's okay. I'll figure it out. Whether beyond Tyler Warren, beyond Colston Loveland of Michigan, those 2 expected to go in the first round, but Terrence Ferguson of Oregon, of course, I'm very familiar with Luke Lachey of Iowa, Mason Taylor of LSU, Elijah Arroyo. How high can the Miami tight end go? I think it's going to be a fascinating position because maybe it's not one much like the running back position that normally gets the notoriety and you see players at that position going in the top 10 or even in the first round.
Yeah.
And knowing the depth of this class, it's going to be interesting to see where the Jaguars strike because I do think they will draft a tight end at some point, knowing the emphasis on running the ball, knowing Luke Farrell, his contract has expired, and unless they re-sign him, will they carry 3 tight ends? Will they carry 4? Josiah DeGuara is no longer under contract. They do have Patrick Murtaugh, the international pathway player. What do they actually think of him, this new regime?
And so, Murtaugh was the one who suffered that serious injury at training camp.
Correct, yeah. And so the tight ends I have circled, but as far as a specific player, I'm going to give you a position group, Lauren, from a specific school, and that is the South Carolina defensive line room. It is a group that I have been fascinated by this last 8-9 month period since the start of the college football season. Credit Shane Beamer. He went in the portal. He hit 4 or 5 times, as well as developing some of their own. And I think across the board, that defense, including Nick Emanuwari in the safety, who potentially could be a first rounder. You've got some corners that also could be drafted at some point in April. And it's
very similar to how Mike Norvell at Florida State built his defensive line. A lot of guys also did the transfer.
Correct. And so I'm fascinated to hear from Kyle Kennard, Tonka Hemingway, right on down the list, because I do think that if you're the Jaguars, and even if you go Mason Graham at number 5 overall, if he is there, I do think you circle back because what have we cried for, Jaguars fans? What have we cried for on this program and so many others the last 2 years? Addressing the depth at edge. And while I do think the Jaguars will go out and they will sign someone, a veteran in free agency, even if it's on a 1-year prove-it deal.
Arden Key?
Yeah, maybe. I think he's still under contract. Malcolm Coons is who I'm looking at, but that's a story for another day. But at the same time, they will draft someone because Miles Cole was drafted by the previous administration, the 7th rounder out of Texas Tech last year. I think that this is a position that, as much as maybe it's not as pressing as guard, and I think the Jags will address that early, I do think it is one that we need to pay attention to, especially those guys who could go anywhere between the 2nd and 5th round.
Well, if Jackson Dart goes in the top 4, then Mason Graham will definitely be available for the Jaguars select at 5.
Let's go.
Because Mia single-handedly is going to get Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jackson Dart.
And I'm also going to go get Jordan Rodriguez' intangible test scores back. I've got a lot to do once I get on that plane a little bit later today.
Absolutely. Taylor, as far as the Combine goes, is there a position group or a particular player that you want to learn more about?
Yeah. I
From
think,
here in Jacksonville, since we won't be in Indy.
Yeah. I think that for me, when you talk about the level of players right now, when we talk about the tiers and how good they are, and we've had this conversation a lot of, it's maybe not the most blue chip players that you'd like to see at the top, but to me it's all trenches, everything I want to see in this next week. And I would not be mad whatsoever if the first 3-4 picks are all trenches, to be honest with you. When you're talking about depth at edge, when you're talking about that interior defensive line, we've obviously talked about that a ton, but the interior offensive line too. So I think all my focus is going to be the majority of that, because I do think that, yes, you're hoping a Mason Graham, if all of these quarterbacks go early and he's there, that is a pick you want to see at 5. But I do think it's so important there's a lot of holes you have to fill too. And we were having this conversation. We were talking to Hayes last week, and I was like, I think he's a little higher on the roster as a whole than I am, because when I'm going through and I'm like, okay, well, to me, you're looking at, you need several starters on both sides of the line, and all of a sudden that it starts adding up quickly. So to me, I think that's going to be my biggest focus, and I feel like it sounds cliche, but you need it. It has to. This year, you want to see, as Ryan Clark was saying, you want to see Trevor be Trevor and what you think he can do for a season as a whole, a game as a whole. But you're not going to be able to see that if you never build around him, and it starts with the offensive line.
And the lines of scrimmage set the tone for the entire team.
Yeah.
They also set the tone for Liam Cohen's regime here. And so, yeah, I agree.
And he was very vocal about that.
For sure. And Tony Boselli has as well. We played that clip on Friday from SiriusXM. I think I'll throw another position group in there, and that is the secondary as a whole, because I do think that has to be addressed as well. I don't know if they're going to go corner early, safety at some point in time throughout the draft, so I'll be watching that group of players as well. All right, we've got more to do. I'll give you our Terminix Pest of the Day on the other side. Something tells me that this person would have at some point in time been on Mia's hit list. That's my tease. We'll get to that next. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
When you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
1010XL.
Get that through your head. Again.
1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they're proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional, non-commissioned sales team put your best interests first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at hodgesmazda.com or stop in today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beards Diamonds.
It's funny, my dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings and anniversary gifts and birthday gifts.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com.
Beards Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
If your pipes are clogged, your septic's acting up, or your heater's slacking, there's one name to remember. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. We've got you covered. When you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769.
Hi, I'm Janice. I'm a coach at Awaken 180 Weight Loss. When a client reaches the goal that they've set, they are so proud of themselves. They are so thrilled with how they look and how they feel. They are ready to take on the next thing. And that's one thing about weight loss. It's so much more than a number on a scale. It's about self-respect. It's a momentum thing. Now that I've lost 50 pounds, wow, there's no reason why I can't do this next thing that initially seemed so daunting, but now I know I can do it. The celebration is not just how much better you look and feel, but how much more self-respect you have. We get on a track of success at Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Losing weight with Awaken 180 isn't about the number on the scale. It's about how that number spearheads endless success. Bring your goals to Awaken 180, then celebrate when you check off each and every one of them. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
I'm with Greg from
Motorcycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia demo truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville. All the details on their Facebook page.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
If fishing is in your DNA, hop in the boat with Captain Kevin. It's the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Youth sports at the YMCA's focus on teamwork, discipline, and building confidence. Our experienced coaches can create a positive and supportive environment where your kids can grow, stay active, and develop a love for sports. Sports like basketball, volleyball, swimming, gymnastics, and even elite skills training. Join the fun and register. Give your kids a chance to be a part of something special. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS, consumerAccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
To the Jaguar fan base, I turn to you. With Liam's vision, with a disciplined approach, we're going to bring you a product that you all can be proud of. And we are so appreciative of your support. With that, game on.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Game on, says new Jaguars general manager James Gladstone. The Jaguars announced the hire a little after 4 p.m. on Friday, so way earlier than some of these other hires have been made. And you just heard his comments of game on. That's right. A lot of work to do, as we've been discussing with the Combine here in Indianapolis. I know he mentioned that they'll be flying up today. So they'll be there in advance of tomorrow and scouting all of those different players. All right, time now for our Terminix Pest of the Day. Before termites attack your home or business, you want to Terminix them. You can visit them online at Terminix.com, Terminix. They take care of Everbank Stadium, Daly's Place, VyStar Ballpark. I learned over the weekend that it is no longer one-to-one financial ballpark. It is VyStar Ballpark. So congrats to VyStar for securing that, and certainly all of your favorite event venues around town. Okay. The reason this one's for Mia is because it is a men's college basketball head coach. Men's basketball head coach.
Oh, no. I think I know who it's going to be.
You might.
And it's... okay, go ahead.
It is Dan Hurley.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was going to be Rick Pitino.
Okay,
so,
no,
yeah.
I would not pick on Rick Pitino. Dan
Rick's
Hurley,
a winner.
Of course. Since Dan Hurley famously told the ref in the middle of the game several games ago that he's the best coach and the ref needed to listen to him because he's the best coach in America.
And also when he yelled at the fans in Omaha and basically said, look at my rings, look at my 2 rings.
I thought I read you correctly on this one.
I love Dan, by the way. Like, I think he's great for content, and I do think he's a good coach, but oh my goodness, his karma to come for that man. Or
Yeah,
my
so his
God.
team, since he made that comment to the ref, his team 4-4, UConn is. Before the comment, UConn was 13-5. Sometimes a team can pick up on the vibes of the head coach, and that type of egotism not rubbing off very well for the UConn Huskies.
When if you go to Twitter and search his name, the first thing that pops up, this was a post from February 15th, but it's him kind of like going at fans and he's like pointing to like his that's
the one.
And so someone quote tweeted and it was like Dan Hurley doing this and then losing 4 days later to a 6-18 team.
He did. He did. And that's why when I had UConn fans in my mentions, I was like, you can't even talk right now. You lost to Seton Hall. They can't win a game. Like, dude, come on. It's
fantastic.
And again, Dan Hurley, and I do think, look, UConn's going to make the tournament. They could make some noise. I don't think they're going to win the national title. They could reload next year and be right back where they were at the top of the mountaintop. So I don't think they're going anywhere. But with that said, he is a prime example of people who bet on themselves, right? We always talk about when it works out.
Yeah.
Our friend Josh Hines Allen.
Lamar Jackson.
Twice, both with college and then in the pros, being on a contract year here in Jacksonville, and then obviously getting the big payday. We always talk about the success stories. We don't talk about someone who bets on themselves and then it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And that is what has happened to Dan Hurley since he said goodbye to the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes.
Yeah, Yannick Ngakoue is like one of those prime examples of that.
Exactly.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. And and I think that when a personality like Dan Hurley's, when you're winning, it's fun. When you're not winning, it's a glaring, at that point you're just being focused on because you're like, okay, you're going to go back with fans and show your ring, and then you lose to a 6-18 team.
And he
That's
also
going to be
loses
highlighted.
his mind a lot on the sideline, and he gets frustrated that the TV cameras show it. Like, have you not realized why reality TV is so successful? People love to see someone lose their mind, whether it's anger, or laughter. And in his case, anger, obviously.
Yeah.
We used to do it with Will Muschamp. Will Muschamp was like the poster child for losing his mind on the sidelines. And of course, the cameras are going to find it and show that. And so Hurley has said, like, they need to show the other coaches more. Well, the other coaches are behaving
they're not
properly.
being wild. It's like Joe Madden was the amount of times like he would just lose his mind and get kicked out of the game all the time. But
he got ejected.
That's who he
more
was.
than-
Like that, if he wasn't screaming at the ump, then there was something weird was happening.
For sure. Let's get it to ASUN in basketball, men's basketball. If JU wins its last 2 home games, those are against Eastern Kentucky and Stetson, then the Dolphins would get a home game for the ASUN men's basketball tournament. So 2 very important games for JU. That Eastern Kentucky game is tonight at Jacksonville University, so get on out, watch some local basketball. And then to end the season, JU plays host to Stetson on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And then UNF tonight is at Florida Gulf Coast. You heard Molly talk about that in the update. And then UNF plays host to Eastern Kentucky Wednesday at 7 p.m. So you can also get out to the UNF Arena on Wednesday to see some local basketball. Here are the standings in the ASUN. North Alabama and Lipscomb are both tied for first at 12-4. Eastern Kentucky and Florida Gulf Coast 11-5. Queens and JU tied for third at 10-6. And then UNF and Austin P tied for fourth at 8-8.
Yeah, so at this juncture, doesn't look like North Florida would be hosting a game in the ASUN Conference Tournament, but JU obviously does have a chance to do so. That would begin on Sunday. What's interesting for those of you who maybe didn't see it last year with the expansion of the conference, there will be 2 play-in games, the 9-10 and the doing math, am I 7-8? They will play. Yeah, math is hard. Counting is hard. So they will play at the site of the 1 and the 3 seed, I believe it is. And then that's how then the quarterfinals begin from there. So technically 10 teams make the ASUN tournament out of the 14 in the conference. And then it'll be interesting to see if JU, UNF have to play in that opening round game. At this point in time, UNF would. JU would not, I don't believe, or maybe they would. So I know I was looking at the women's basketball bracket, too.
It all gets settled after Wednesday night. Like I said, that's when the regular season wraps up in the A-Sun. And so then, we'll have a better idea of what things are going to look like for next week or starting on Sunday, like you said. I do have a shout-out to give. UNF senior Allison Benning.
Yeah.
I'm sure those who pay attention to softball certainly followed along with this storyline. So yesterday she threw a perfect game. And over the last 2 games that she's pitched, she's batted .700 with 3 home runs, 8 ribbies, and 11 intentional walks. That's right, RJ.
We have Shohei Ohtani at home. It's fine.
It is unbelievable. UNF went 4-1 over the weekend. The only loss was to Ohio State in the Make It Happen games in Madeira Beach. It's the second ever perfect game in UNF D1 history. And so, unbelievable. And to do that at the plate is, like you said,
that's quite
the female
a stat
Shohei
line.
Insane stat
700?
line. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
She's majoring in communications. Maybe one day she wants to come hang out with us.
I think John O'Leary has a class with her. Because he was telling me, he was talking about someone this morning, and I'm pretty sure that's who he was talking about. And because he was like, she's insane, obviously an incredible player, but he's like, I'm in class, I'm pretty sure that's who he was talking about.
Probably. Since I'm giving shout-outs, 2 more shout-outs. Ponte Vedra and Bartram Trail girls soccer teams both won the state championship on Saturday. Get this, Ponte Vedra won 2-1. This is their head coach, Dave Silverberg's 9th state title. He won 4 at Nice, now 5 at Ponte Vedra. That's crazy good. And then Bartram beat St. Thomas Aquinas. We were talking about our shared hatred for St. Thomas Aquinas on Friday. They won 4-3. They scored with 19 seconds left in the second extra time period. So it was tied 3-3. No scores in the first extra time, and then it went to the second extra time, and they scored with 19 seconds left, or it would have gone to penalty kicks. And
that's stressful.
Everyone knows, PKs are the most stressful thing in all of sports. And so, congratulations for the 4th time in program history. Bartram Trail won the state championship. And Taylor, I'm sorry.
Mandarin lost.
1-0. And here's how they lost, which this is absolutely horrendous. And I wasn't there, so I don't know. But I read that it was a sketchy handball foul.
Oh, you hate to see that.
It within the first minute of the game, and they lose 1-0 to Mitchell. Ugh. And they like I said, what I read was that I don't know if it was it should have been called a handball. Yeah. And so basically, you fall within the first minute on a penalty kick, and then nobody scores the rest of the game, and you lose 1-0. Ugh,
the officials are always out to get me.
On the other side of the coin, too, the high school basketball, yes. I got a really fun stat for you guys. The high school basketball Final Fours are starting to take shape. On the men's side, Northeast Florida, this is going to deserve a round of applause as well, RJ, because it's crazy, and our friend Charles C. Clark informed me of this when I was calling the JU game with her on Saturday. This is one of the first times, if we're going to include Hawthorne as part of Northeast Florida, that a Northeast Florida team is in the Final Four in every single classification of the boys basketball state tournament, minus Class 7A, which she showed me a stat from 247 Sports. Class 7A boys basketball in the state of Florida, in terms of strength of schedule and strength of that classification, is the second most difficult, second deepest in the country.
Wow.
So no shame in the game there, because Miami, Orlando, Tampa, they put up a fight. But our congratulations to, I should probably say this. I should probably say those teams. Our congratulations to Tokoi Creek, which, I mean, all things considered, still a relatively new high school, and this is their first time going to the Final Four. Ponte Vedra in Class 5A, Rebolt in Class 4A, Andrew Jackson, Class 3A, perennial powerhouse, of course, in that classification. University Christian returning to the tournament, second year of a new administration there. Great to see them back at the Final Four. Impact Christian, another perennial name that you always hear around this time of the year. And then Hawthorne is in the rural classification, and Fort White as well.
And I believe in girls basketball, there are 4 teams locally that will also be in the state championship or the Final Four. So that's exciting as well. All right, we've got 1 segment to go. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels. It is a Big Chief Tire Monday. Find them online at wekeepjacksrollin.com on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Your home for Florida Gators basketball is 1010XL.
The second-ranked Gators battle the Bulldogs on their trek to the top. Florida, Georgia. Tomorrow at 7 on 1010 AM.
The Mia here. You want to know what's better than a sale? A sale on top of a sale. I know, right? That's exactly what's going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned during their Everything's on Sale sale. Just how on sale is it? How about zero down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2022 Toyota Corolla? Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, Tacoma for zero down and only $388 per month. But that's not all. I mean, this is a sale on top of a sale where everything is on sale. That's why my friends at Arlington are offering you no payments till July 2025. You heard that right. July 2025. No payments. Plus, Arlington's lot is packed with over 600 vehicles, and you get 60 days to love your purchase or exchange it. It's official. It's a sale on top of a sale during the Everything's on Sale sale at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. That's some kind of sale. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Ackerman Urology is now servicing the World Golf Village area. If you have elevated PSA, prostate, bladder, or kidney issues, plan to see the experts at Ackerman Urology right away. Their new location off I-95 at International Golf Parkway.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Need a fast casual option that's healthy, fresh, and delicious? Choose the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Gyros, salads, hummus, and more made completely fresh right as you order. Off 210 and St. John's Parkway. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Helmets and heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
The First Tee Tour Card is back for 2025 and better than ever, with access to over 15 of North Florida's best courses and new this year, local participating businesses. This card is your ticket to saving hundreds. First Tee North Florida is a local nonprofit who build character in youth participants through the game of golf. This annual fundraiser enables this amazing organization the ability to build game changers. Grab your tour card for just $99 at tourcard.org. for a list of participating partners, benefits, and restrictions.
Experience the high-flying action truly unlike anything on the Supercross circuit at Daytona Supercross. Saturday, March 1st. Side-by-side intensity of Monster Energy AMA Supercross on the most demanding track of the circuit. Get close to the action as riders get pushed to the limits on the Ricky Carmichael designed track. For a chance to win tickets to Daytona Supercross, answer this. Who won the 450 final Supercross at Daytona in 2024? Text the winner's last name to 641-1010 now.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week,
Danielle Paul, senior basketball player and track and field athlete at Mandarin High. Danielle is a member of the Student Athlete Leadership Team and the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Danielle.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with WonderWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WonderWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WonderWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WonderWorld, and to top it off, WonderWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WonderWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WindowWorld today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
WindowWorld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Honestly, I was going to cool down with my AP ballot this week in men's basketball, but since Lauren just asked me about it, I'll just let you guys know about all the exciting stuff we have coming up from Indianapolis live. Frank and Hayes will be doing the Frangie Show. They left early this morning. Today, 4 to 6 p.m., live from Radio Row at the Convention Center in Indianapolis. Ton of great interviews. Bucky Brooks scheduled to join them live later today. Joe Cullen, former Jaguars DC, now the Chiefs defensive line coach, also expected to join them a little bit later this afternoon. Of course, the play-by-play voices of the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts will also join the Frangie Show at different points this week. Unfortunately, our friend Mike Keith, well, he's gone home, folks. He's gone home to Knoxville and is now the voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, his alma mater, and so no voice of the Tennessee Titans currently. So they got the number 1 overall pick, and they, at least as of this writing, or at least Frank hasn't told me if they've hired a play-by-play guy yet.
And they laughed at us for not having a GM for a while. Right. They don't even have a play-by-play
You don't even
person.
have your play-by-play guy, so I don't really know what you're doing.
By the way, Frank has, I think, had some good intel over the last few weeks because he was the first person to say, I think the Jaguars should circle back with Liam Cohen, and I think they should hire Tony Boselli as EVP. And then he was the first person that I heard on our station to say that James Gladstone would probably be the general manager. So I have a feeling that if he's saying something about the Jaguars, we should be listening.
Yes, we will have the aforementioned James Gladstone here on Helmets and Heels with Frank Frangie, 12:15 tomorrow, tentatively scheduled. Liam Cohen one-on-one at 12:30. Of course, both those gentlemen will also be at the podium, hopefully a media scrum with local media as well. And we will bring you all of that content, not only live here over 92.5 FM and 1010 AM's airwaves, but of course also our 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. Make sure you have it locked there. We'll also have interviews with Hayes and I with various media personalities. I know Wednesday we will have Mike Silver rejoining the program, friend of the program here on Helmets and Heels. EJ Snyder, another friend of the program, also scheduled to join. And a lot of fun stuff coming out of Indianapolis. And I leave in a few hours. So a lot of fun.
I'm really excited for the one-on-ones with Liam and with James, especially James Gladstone, because Liam Cohen has done a one-on-one with Frank before, Frank and Hayes. But the James Gladstone presser today is very formal. Like, this setting is a lot more informal when you're in Indianapolis and get to hang out on and off the air. And so I'm really intrigued to see if he opens up a little bit more tomorrow.
So I've been open with you guys about the leadership class that I'm taking right now. And so one of our lessons that we've been working on is successful interview tactics, not just for you as an interviewee, but also if you are bringing in talent. And one thing that I was taught, and I was very fortunate, even though in the moment I thought this was so weird, while I was interviewing for my college scholarship program at Ithaca College, my mentee, my host, because as an incoming college freshman, you stayed with the current freshman. And my host said to me that the best thing I could do in my interview was to take a second and not just start word salad, saying whatever comes out. Like, take a second and be intentional with your answer. And that's something that's always stuck with me. And it's something that I was told by many people around the league is very evident with everything James Gladstone says, but it especially was evident today. I also, in the words of my father, who I hope is listening right now, because he's been vindicated more times than one this year. Last year when my sister got married, he kept telling Kevin and I I'm memorizing my speech, no notes. I hate people that go up with their iPhone and they read off their iPhone notes. He told me if you're going to go up with notes for your maid of honor speech, it needs to be on a piece of paper. And so I appreciated that James Gladstone, it appeared, at least from my vantage point in the front row today, he had the speech memorized. And I appreciate that intentionality and that care to such an important moment in his life and the history of the Jaguars.
It also, I loved when he said that both he and Liam come from not humble backgrounds, but they approach everything with humility.
Yeah.
Like, I love that because I think you can only be the best leader and best servant leader if you are approaching things in that light. And so I love that it doesn't feel like there's a I'm smarter than you type of vibe, even though we have some guys now on this staff.
He is smarter than me, though.
Yeah. And yes, he is smarter than me. Grant Udinsky is probably also smarter than me. And so I appreciate that vibe, at least. By the way, Friday night was not a good night for the Florida gymnastics team. So first you had Anya Pilgrim fall on bars, and she was not able to return to competition. I'm hoping that she's okay. But she was the freshman sensation last season who was so measured, like very Jaden Daniels of gymnastics, right? And so hopefully she's okay. Don't know yet. But then much later in the meet, Sloan Blakely on her very first pass on floor. So last week she got a 10 on this event. Her very first pass, which means like her first tumbling routine, she immediately goes down with an ankle.
Oh, no.
And it only takes her like pretty much a second. She gets up, she hops completely off the floor on the one leg, and we don't see her again until later when she's in a boot on crutches. Her sister is also on the team, Sky Blakely. Sky was bawling because it seemed like in the moment
Sky was not falling.
No, yeah. It seemed in the moment, though, that Sloan might have torn an Achilles. If you were, watching, it's either that or maybe she broke her ankle, one of the two. Her sister is legit devastated. So the head coach, Jenny Rowland, goes over to try and console Sky. And then Sky immediately goes back to the locker room and tries to be with her sister. And it just, the night did not, the bad part of the night did not end there. Then you get to, the injuries ended at least, but you get to Beam. And so Florida's on the road at #1 Oklahoma in this meet, I forgot to mention. So Oklahoma's obviously incredibly talented. They're always one of the top gymnastics teams in all of the country. Florida has to have some subs in for the Beam because we've had the injuries. Well, poor Riley McCusker ends up falling on Beam, and she was the second Florida gymnast to fall on Beam. So she starts bawling because she knows she let her team down. A lot of tears. I was crying. No, I wasn't.
So what does this mean for national championship hopes?
So the injury to Sloan is going to, what exactly that she's diagnosed with is going to be interesting. Florida only fell to number 6 in the NQS. So the standings, basically, the way gymnastics does it is they just use the composition of the different scores. So it's, even though it's subjective to see who gets a 9.5, who gets a 10, the actual scoring is not subjective. It's just basically your meet score, which I was shocked Florida didn't fall farther because of the 2 falls that they had to count on Beam. I didn't think before the season that this gymnastics team could win a national championship because we've had more talented teams that haven't won. But I do think that Jenny Rowland is going to have a team that's still going to be, always in the top 10. Like she's got the talent. They are deep, this team is, but I just don't think that they have like the one superstar that can get you to win the Natty, unfortunately for me. But when it comes to national championships in baseball, 2 teams that can win the national championship, Florida and Florida State. Florida State is now 7-0. Florida also 7-0. Florida State swept Penn. Get these scores. 24-2 on Friday in 7 innings. That's right, 24-2 on Saturday 9-3, and then on Sunday 5-3, and then Florida State comes to Jacksonville tomorrow, 6 p.m. first pitch at JU. So make sure you get out to JU to watch JU play host to 5th-ranked Florida State. Florida beat Dayton 13-1 in 7 innings on Friday, 11-1 in 8 innings on Saturday, and yesterday 12-2 in 8 innings. So Florida didn't even go 9 innings one time over the weekend against Dayton. And then Florida is at Stetson tomorrow night. And then Wednesday, Florida plays host to North Florida. That game is at 6:30. So if you want to watch some local baseball, definitely get to Gainesville for that one. UNF is now 6-2. They swept Brown in a 4-game series. And then JU is now 3-4. So they got their first wins of the season over Illinois State this past weekend. The top 4 teams in all of the country, Number 1 is Texas A&M, 2 is Tennessee, 3 is LSU, 4 is Arkansas. What does that scream to you?
SEC. SEC.
That's right.
But also of note, Lauren, and I don't know, are you looking at the D1 baseball?
So I use Baseball America. I don't like D1 baseball as much.
Okay.
I like Baseball America, but Florida and Florida State are lower in the Baseball America, which is why I don't like them.
I was about to say, it probably has something to do.
I default use D1 baseball.
Yeah, I can understand
Yeah,
that.
I don't know why, but
I used to.
I just
Now
like in D1 baseball right now. It looks like so nice and neat.
So what is
for
their top
area
5?
teams. It's similar. So it's
Okay.
A&M, LSU is 2, Tennessee is 3, Arkansas is 4. So same vibes. North Carolina is 5. This is where it's so nice, neat, uniform for our neck of the woods. Georgia is 6, Florida State is 7, and Florida is 8.
Yeah, I just think that, like I said, Florida and Florida State should be higher. So I look at those rankings, the D1 baseball rankings, but I'm going to use the Baseball America ones. And we've had Jacob Rudner on, who used to cover Florida baseball. Now he works for Baseball America, so that's probably the other reason. I think he's a great baseball mind. All right, before we get out of here, I want everyone to hear one more cut from new Jaguars general manager James Gladstone, and he was asked what excites him about the future of the Jaguars.
The short of it is there's talent in a lot of key spots, and with the amount of draft capital that we have at our disposal over the next 2 seasons, it's really exciting about what we can do there, especially knowing that that's the highest volume of draft capital that exists for any team in the NFL over the next 2 years. And we're coming off 2 cycles with the Los Angeles Rams where that was the exact same case. 24 picks over the last 2 drafts. So really this is a dynamic that I'm uniquely positioned to navigate and really looking forward to utilizing as a means of continuing to develop this roster.
It's interesting. It's funny because he's probably looking at this and is like foaming at the mouth because he's looking back when you go to the 2021 draft, no first round pick in LA, 2022, no first round pick in LA. They had a lot of draft picks and it was like, but it was a ton of 6th and 7th rounders and a couple 4s. But he's probably looking at this and like, yes.
As the director of scouting strategy, sorry to cut you off, Taylor.
There you go.
He had 3 top 50 picks in 6 years.
Yeah.
Like he's like, here they pick number 1 or like at least in the top 5 in the last 5 years.
Right. Like think about that, folks. Like you have had almost as many number 1 overall picks here in the city of Jacksonville as James Gladstone has had top 50 picks at his disposal.
And that's one of the things when we were talking to Jordan Rodriguez last week, and she was saying that they, out of the last 2 drafts, they got 10 starters out of those 2 drafts. That's incredible. Like that is, you are hitting, that's not a lucky thing. And I've talked about it before with where I think Trent Baalke got lucky sometimes. That's not luck. That is pure great talent evaluation. And when you're getting that, especially immediate starters, when you're talking about guys in the draft you just got and you're talking about 5-6 guys that are on your starting roster and playing at a high level, that's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
All right, Leon's here. Leon, what do you think of James Gladstone's presser today?
I like it. Game on.
Game
on.
on.
Yeah. See, that's the line that I think is going to be on the T-shirt.
It has to be. Absolutely. He's saying, get your popcorn ready. We got some changes coming here. I like it.
And I feel like also the intangibly rich, you were a player that I think if they were evaluating now, they would have said that about you, intangibly rich.
Yeah, I also like the fact that he said that he's going to create an environment where everybody can just be themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. And I can appreciate the fact that he's come from an organization that's used to winning, and certain stuff here that people have tolerated, I think he's going to get that out. He's going to push that old mindset out, which is good for this franchise.
Yeah.
Leon, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the tush push? There was a tweet that came out today that one unnamed team is proposing to ban the tush push.
Oh, stop it. Really?
Yeah.
Can't be the Jags because we stopped it.
Yeah, we did twice. Actually, didn't we stop it twice? Yeah, I don't want to be remembered for that, but it was good that we did stop it twice. Listen, just figure out a way to stop it. I mean, there's no need to have any sanctions on it. Just do a better job in trying to stop it. You know, I mean.
Again, it speaks to what we were talking about, Leon. Like, part of this sport is being competitive and wanting to compete with an indomitable force and trying to stop it.
Figure out a way geometrically to stop it.
Which-
It's got to be
right.
something that you can do to stop that tush push.
Which brings me to, as we get ready to look toward the NFL
Mm-hmm.
Combine later this week, Leon, your thoughts on players who opt to not participate in the on-field? Because I said, Denny Thompson noted this to me, our quarterback whisperer,
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago. Like, he said it during the Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud class. He said, make no mistake, I have no idea if any of these guys are going to be any good. But the fact that all of them said, we will compete with each other here in Indianapolis, spoke volumes about the competitive spirit about each of those quarterbacks. And I think that's why you've seen so many of them now translate to the next, here in the NFL.
Every individual is different. I don't try to judge people in packs. Because the narrative is that Sir Joe Sanders is not going to participate in the combine, so he's going to get a lot of heat. He's going to get a lot of heat because his dad is Dion. All right, that's just the truth of the matter. Is I think the most important thing for him is to interview well, to do the whiteboard, and I think the reason why he doesn't want to throw is because they're on his guys. I mean, at his pro day. His pro day, he's going to be familiar with the guys he's going to be throwing to. At this one, he might go out there. They might not have the same relationships. And we're so overly critical when it comes to stuff before the draft. Because I always say this, the draft is not, technically it's not meant to build you up. It's if you're a high guy, it's to bring you down a couple of notches. So me, I had to run. I had to do everything. I wanted to be noticed for sure.
How was your 40?
My 40 was actually, I didn't like my 40. My 40 initially at the combine was a 5.7, but when I went home and did it at Miami, it was a 4.92.
Oh, okay.
My strip coach might have been late on the trigger a little bit.
Okay.
He might have been late on the trigger a little bit on that.
One more before we go to tie those two things together, Leon. The notion of James Gladstone's scouting philosophy is based much more on intangibles than it is measurables that will come out of Indianapolis this week. And that's not to say that he won't take stock in that, but it is to say that it is a bigger picture, and there are things that maybe arm length, weight, height cannot tell us. What say you in terms of the arm length conversation, the weight conversation? Does it have to be a certain threshold if you are an NFL executive that you will or you will not accept?
So
Testing too, like you said.
He's an analytic guy, right?
Correct.
He's an analytic guy, and he's had success at it. I'm a partake. I'm a little old school. I say look at the film, evaluate the film. Because the combine is it's a beauty pageant. To be quite honest with you, some guys test well, some guys don't. But if you look at the film and you watch the guys, you could tell who the ballers are. The film don't lie.
Remember once upon a time, Joe Burrow's hands were too small.
Yeah.
Right,
How's that work?
That's what I mean.
How's that work now?
Or like this notion of, well, if Will Johnson, and this is maybe a little bit different, but like if Will Johnson runs in the 4.5s, you can't take him in the top 10 because if he's going to be a man-to-man corner and if he can't run a 4.4, then that means like he can't cover the fastest wide receiver.
Well, hell, on film, could he cover the fastest wide receiver?
Right. And that's the argument.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
All right,
Kenny Pickett's hands were also too small. That one.
Well, that proved to be true.
All right, Leon, what are y'all going to do today?
Well, we're going to talk GM and Combine.
All right, sounds good. We'll be listening.
You got it.
All right, thanks so much. And keep it right here on 1010X on 92.5 FM for XL Primetime. That comes up next. Mia, have a safe flight to Indianapolis.
Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Sounds fabulous. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you.